Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys. The Everything Sequel podcast contains explicit language. 'Cause we learned it from you, Dad. Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast. This is a top 5 episode. We're wrapping up the year. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, one Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. The man with a list, no doubt. Say hello, Tom.
You want the top 5? Here it is. Sugar Hill Gang, Eminem, Wally, Icy Cube, and Sir Mix-a-Lot. Yeah! Put them on the glass.
Is that from House Party?
No, that is from... Care to guess again?
Fuck. No, it has to be from House Party.
No, it is Jerry Seinfeld from the post-credits sequence of Top 5, the Chris Rock
Oh, okay.
vehicle.
I was so scared that you were about to say a B movie.
No, because in that movie, everyone names their top 5 rappers.
Yeah.
But everyone who has done it up until that point is cool enough to know the names of 5 rappers. But when Jerry Seinfeld gets around to it, he runs out and mentions Sir Mix-a-Lot, which I think is great.
That's fantastic.
That's
I haven't
favorite
seen
part
Top
of
5.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, there you go. You've got an excuse.
Yeah.
It's not very good, but that was my highlight.
Oh, what a ringing endorsement.
But I like that Jerry Seinfeld was only, kind of one grade above me in rap knowledge.
Yeah.
One grade below me in rap knowledge. It's like
I was going to say what grade above.
No, yeah. No, I know more about rap than he does, but not much more.
Well, this is an offshoot episode, so while I have everybody listening, I'll say this. Rush to your theaters right now and go see Godzilla -1.
Oh, so it's too late for me.
Ugh.
I'm afraid. I'll see it at some point.
It's not too late. It's still in theaters.
No, it's gone. It's gone from theaters.
No?
It's gone from any theater near me.
Okay.
I can't go to theaters right now for reasons that I can't talk about on the podcast. Although I wish...
Give it a couple days.
Yeah, give it a couple of days. I'll be able to go back into theaters, but it'll be with the boys, so it'll probably be a Wonka trip.
I got to tell you,
You gonna ruin Wonka for me?
I was not looking forward to Wonka more than maybe... there's no reason I thought that I would enjoy Wonka at all. I was quite charmed by it.
It's,
I think it got me just...
Director of the Paddingtons.
Yeah, I know.
The guy knows how to reimagine classic fare.
Yeah. I almost lost my voice singing one of the songs on my way home.
Okay, great.
I was actually had a good time. I mean, nobody's ever going to be Gene Wilder, so get that out of your heads,
Yeah.
But it's as though the character himself has not reached whatever darkness we see when we actually see him in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
And it's just his happy self. And yeah, I mean, I was delighted by the movie. I had a really good time. But Godzilla -1 is one of my favorite movies this year.
Okay, great.
It's that
I'm glad
good.
to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it was consecutive weeks in a row. The 2 most popular movies in the U.S. were both Japanese, and that made me very happy.
Yeah, right.
I saw the other one, The Boy and the Heron, which is a superb piece of film art. So
Didn't you also say you can love it because you don't have to pay attention to it or something like that?
Did I say no? What I said was that my favorite Studio Ghibli movies are my favorite movies to fall asleep to.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you fall asleep in the first act and you wake up in the third act, you have no idea how we got from one place to
another. Okay.
So I probably haven't seen the middle hour of most Studio Ghibli movies.
All right.
And I'm just making it up in my head, and it's probably what they do on screen is more imaginative than what's going on in my head.
Yeah.
As to how those parts of the movie connect.
Well, here we are, Tom. It's the beginning of a new year. We just wrapped up
Yeah.
1 year. We gave our regular listeners a little treat and let them listen to what they're missing on the Patreon with a couple of Karate Kid movies.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you are welcome.
Welcome.
And then we thought we thought we could start wrapping our years up by looking over the year, just, the movies or series we did in a year.
Yeah.
And we each take 5 movies from the entire year as our top 5 sequels of all the sequels we watched in the year.
Great.
Doesn't that sound fun?
It does. I will repeat to you what I said off air, which is, do we want to put a cap on how many from each series you can select?
I don't know that we should have a cap. If you are like thinking to yourself that 4 movies from one series are the best out of all the sequels we've watched, I'm happy to tell you how wrong you are.
Okay. But I don't think you will be, and I just think you haven't thought it through.
Listen, for starters, I'm already ready to argue about movies I know that are going to be on your list that should not be on your list.
No, you don't. You don't know that.
I do. I know what you're going to do.
You are going to be pleasantly surprised. I think I'm looking at your list right now.
What? As someone who's going to pick 4 movies from one series?
But I can't understand why you won't be doing that.
Because I won't.
Well, I guess this is our first argument then.
Fine. Happy to have it.
I went back through the list of titles we've explored this year, and I was like, there's one almost all the top 5 could be from this one series.
Well, I don't know.
But I'm interested to find out that that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't know
what's changed since we talked about
you're
them.
talking about. Look,
really?
First, for starters, let's look at what we have watched this year. We have watched the Indiana Jones series. We have watched the Friday the 13th series, or half of the Friday the 13th series.
That is correct.
We have watched the Star Wars prequels.
Yes.
And sadly, the House Party series. Which will represent no choices on my list, I can say right now.
Well, okay. Well, there we go. There we can... I can... that's our first point of agreement then. House Party will not feature in this episode.
All right. We have the 1990s single sequels. Well, the second half of the 1990s single sequels. Excuse me. The Two Jakes and Three Men and a Little Lady. Did I miss anything?
No.
And then we got the Bad News Bears, the Omen series, and RoboCop.
Yep. A lot to choose from.
A lot.
However, still, I'll pose the question one final time. Do you want to put a cap on how many sequels we can select from each series? Because one of these, I've tried. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. I just want you to try and remember back to discussions we've had about rankings of series in the past.
Well, this was one of the most interesting things for me, where I was looking at sequels and I would say to myself, well, this is a possibility. And then I would think to myself, did I even rate that one the top of that series list? So to me, it was interesting to see which of the movies stuck with me over time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
As being the most interesting.
Huh.
I mean, how do you want to do it? Like, did you, like, when I first started compiling my list, I think I told you just now off air, I said, I've got 9 possibles. 9 possibles that could be in my top 5. And then I had to
I've
whittle.
got 8. Yeah, I've got 8 before whittling.
Okay. Are there any other series other than House Party that didn't make your possibilities?
Yeah.
And they are?
The Bad News Bears.
Yeah, that's mine.
And RoboCop.
That was close to one of mine, but at the very beginning, I put RoboCop 2 as a possibility.
But here's the other issue. I think if we'd have done RoboCop 2 and 3,
We did do RoboCop 2 and 3.
right? Yeah, no, bear with me.
Okay.
But didn't do RoboCop the original and the reboot for the Patreon.
Right.
I think that almost made it a no-brainer that the RoboCop 2 is not.
Worthy.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it didn't make my top 5.
And I just watched a documentary about the making of RoboCop as well, in which the only discussion of this was a, let me see, probably about, it was 4 hour-and-a-half episodes about the making of RoboCop. And
Wow.
the amount, and RoboCop 2
6
and 3,
hours of behind the scenes.
Uh-huh. And this is all that was said about
That's
RoboCop
mental
2 and
math
3.
right there, sir.
It's very good. It's very impressive. And you know I am not capable of the same, so I'm grateful to you.
I converted your minutes into hours
You did.
on the fly.
And all that was said about RoboCop 2 and 3 were, I've met some people who liked the second one. I haven't met anyone who liked the third one. That was it. Literally it. The name of the documentary was RoboDoc, The Making of RoboCop. That is all that was said about it. I mean, it speaks to a larger perception problem about sequels that I don't agree with, but I find it hard to disagree with it in the context of RoboCop. Interestingly, though, I watched a 2-part documentary about Fright Night, which almost covered Fright Night and Fright Night 2 almost equally. So I feel like, at least in the horror world, people are open to the possibility of sequels being worthy of discussion.
Yeah.
But not in science fiction, apparently. So yeah, those 3 series did not make it on my shortlist.
Okay. 2 of those did not make it on my list. RoboCop 2 barely made it on and was quickly shunted aside.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it had exactly the same thought. It was like, RoboCop 2? No.
But here's the thing that's interesting is that, I mean, you seem here to be advocating for you can only pick, say, one movie from a series.
Well, just because I'm going to pick multiple
And at that
sequels
point,
from one series.
then RoboCop all of a sudden is in gameplay for me. If that was my choice.
Okay. Right. I'm surprised. I mean, given this discussion that either of us have yet to mention. Well, I guess it's less surprising that I have not mentioned the Star Wars prequels, but it is very surprising that you have also not mentioned that in the elimination round. Believe it or not, we're making the format up on the fly.
Oh. I missed one.
Are you telling me that
one.
on your short list?
I missed one.
I love the fact that was just confirmation that you've made a mistake,
Yes.
as opposed to opening this up into a much more interesting discussion.
Yeah, sorry.
You were just like, sorry, I missed
I
one.
didn't mean to shut down your hopes that that I might have been open to that. No, you're right.
Yeah.
That did not make my list, sir.
Well, it might not make my final list, but it's on my. But at least one of those movies is on my short list.
All right. The second one.
You don't know that for a fact?
I do. I Sherlock Holmes that shit.
Well, it is a detective movie, as we previously discussed.
Right. Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was funny when I first started looking at all the movies we'd done.
Hmm?
You know, on a first glance, I kind of shunted aside a couple of series where, you know, one in particular where I thought I really loved a couple of those movies, but top 5, I doubt it. And then I realized that we only did 8 series total in the year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you go, oh, no, well, I mean, if that's the case, a couple of those movies I think are going to make my list, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
It's a good. Also, it's nice to compile these lists, not just for our own gratification, but to sort of, you know, get back to the question of what you value in a sequel.
I was going to say, it's interesting to look at the movies in that vein when you look between series to see what you value in a sequel.
Because there's a, you know, not quite a model, not quite a sort of boilerplate, but the sequels I've chosen seem to have a commonality about where they stand in the series and what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
How, you know, how they're able to both imitate and divert from the original or the previous movie, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
sure.
clearly I appreciate that.
So I assume the best way to go is 5-1.
Okay. So we have to pick our five now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a problem at 5 because I'm between 2 movies, and it's... I think I know the movie that I should pick,
Yeah.
but I find myself thinking it's the movie I don't want to pick.
Oh, tell me more about that.
One of these movies I think is probably clearly a better movie than the other, but if you told me which one do you want to watch right now, I'd pick the other one.
Okay.
So, and I think this was a movie that I liked more than you. I think we both liked the first half quite a bit. I think I like the second half more than you do. It was a movie that surprised me when we first did it.
Okay.
And my 5th place movie...
Okay, X Factor judge, let's move this along.
My 5th place movie is going to be 3 Men and a Little Lady.
Yeah, I thought that was coming.
Yeah.
That was never in contention for me, I don't think, and for exactly the reasons you said. I don't think it achieved the highs that you make out.
You're wrong.
And it's definitely not consistent. Interestingly, recently I saw Dinah for the first time.
Oh, for the first time, really?
I'm amazed how much what a kind of character actor Steve Guttenberg was.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Home for the Holidays?
No.
It's directed by Jodie Foster.
Okay. Oh, with Holly Hunter.
With Holly
right?
Hunter, yeah.
Is Steve Guttenberg in that?
He is.
Okay. I'll give it a try.
Speaking to what you're saying about a character actor, I think it's the best he's ever been is in that movie.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does are there any nuclear explosions in that movie?
No.
'Cause that's where I feel like he's at his best. The man who changed Reagan's mind. Did you know that was a Nicholas... I didn't know that was a Nicholas Meyer movie.
Oh.
Until recently.
No.
The day after?
I didn't know that.
I saw him on a documentary talking about it, and he said this, you know, he's like, you basically, you're welcome. I saved all your lives. In classic Nicholas Meyer style.
That's great.
And the interviewer said, "You feel like this changed everybody's minds?" It's like, I don't think it changed anyone's minds who watched it, apart from the one man that could actually do something about it, and it changed his mind. So who cares?
That is fucking fantastic. Well, can you guess what movie was close? I'll tell you.
Something you think is a better movie.
I was about to give you a clue, but it's too big a clue, I think.
Omen 3, the final conflict.
Oh, it's interesting you say that, because that one was like...
In the genre of movies that you like more than I do, but we both quite like.
Yeah, so that was the one. So I guess there were 3 that were in contention, and then that one was the one that was the outlier.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't remember if I even labeled that one above Omen 2 when we originally did the series. But I hope I did, because it's the movie that stuck with me. So Omen 3 was really close to my top 5. It probably should be. But I was also close to giving it to The Rescuers Down Under.
Oh, that was going to be my first guess, but yeah, that's a... Excuse the pun, an odd duck of a movie. Mm-hmm. I think about it daily, I think, since we talked about it. Just because I'm just thinking about computer like the Watershed computer animation.
It stuck with me in that way, how it's a bridge between one and the other, and it's a much better story and movie than I would have thought it was going to be. It's a well-made movie.
It is, yeah. It's a really well-crafted movie. Well, that's, I mean, you're sticking with.
I'm gonna stick with 3 Men and a Little Lady. Omen 3 is probably the more interesting movie to me out of those 3, but I think the performances in 3 Men and a Little Lady are so winning, and I like those 3 guys together.
I do too.
So
I like those 3 guys, separately.
Yeah.
And together.
But that's the one that I would sit down and watch more than the other 2, so I gave it to 3 Men and a Little Lady.
Well, I'm going to join you in 1990, and I'm going to say The Rescuers Down Under is number 5 on my list.
All right. And then you have 4 from one movie? Or 3 from Star Wars?
No, you got it completely wrong.
Okay. Then it's Friday the 13th. I'm so curious.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I can't. I'm not prepared to say at this point. As soon as I say, the episode's over. Interesting.
So your 5th is Rescuers Down Under.
Yes, I'm prepared to say that.
Because you're saying it's. Well, I take it we're these other movies. I mean, it's weird to talk about. I was going to say these other movies weren't close for you, but those were my movies. So.
No, the 3 Men not close to. I guess close. It was very close to another watershed in computer animation movie that you probably think is the first on my list, which was Attack of the Clones, but didn't quite make the cut.
Oh, I thought you meant close to 4.
No. Oh, no.
So Clones doesn't make your list at all?
No. So Star Wars prequels are out of the running for me, too. It's the only one I'd ever consider putting in.
Well, then it's nice to have seen you grow up here on the Everything Sequel podcast.
I'm not proud of myself for that.
I'd like to count my influence as being a good influence on you.
Well, it's more to do with the competition.
Sure. Okay.
but it'd be right outside my top 5.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
It's enough for me to expose people to the possibility that the Star Wars prequels might be better than they are. I don't have to prove anything beyond that.
Also, you can't.
Yeah, then it gets really tricky. But, just it's important for me that people see the value in the auteurism of George Lucas and George Lucas's vision of Star Wars, and I don't know if we talked about this when we did Dial of Destiny, but which by the way is not going to be on my list, as if that was ever a possibility. But what's kind of missing from that, what is the good and the bad of Lucas, because he makes a lot of eccentric choices that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm interested in.
Okay.
And I feel like you don't get from any other filmmaker.
Mm.
And the more that, I just saw today there's a movie called The Mandalorian and Grogu heading for theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most predictable thing you could possibly imagine.
I just saw it with Jon Favreau directing. Yeah.
Right. And I just think, Star Wars needs quirkiness, it needs eccentricity, it needs a guy behind it who is gonna make the choice you never see coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I speak up for the Star Wars prequels and minimize the problems they have, which are myriad.
I'll say.
Mm.
Well, I'm glad to see you took the mature approach.
I don't know if it is. What, the mature approach by putting the Rescuers Down Under on my list?
No, by eliminating
Kind of a fucked up world, is it?
Star
When
Wars
that's the mature
prequels
choice.
from contention. I didn't think you
Yeah,
had it in you.
no one likes the Rescuers Down Under either. I'm just substituting one unpopular opinion for another.
I think people say that about the Rescuers without having seen it, though.
I agree, and it's easier to argue for its merits. But at the same time, you won't find many people vociferously putting the Rescuers Down Under on any top 5 list.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we get into a place where, spoiler alerts, I guess. I'm going to flip between 2 series
Okay.
for the whole rest of my list.
Oh, okay, so you're not as dispersed as I thought you were.
Yeah.
I guess I am too.
Really?
Am I?
I was starting to think that
I
maybe you had 3 from one series.
But both things could be true. I could be switching between 2 series and also have 3 from 1.
I ask you, sir, what...
Now who's the math master?
I ask you, sir, what is number 4 on your list?
This is really hard now.
And actually, I had 4 and 3 or...
Because look, if we're not putting a cap on how many sequels you can have from one series, I'm gonna have to get rid of one that I'm not happy about. But
Excellent.
I can't see where it's going. So that movie, which is not gonna be in my top 5 as of this point, is Damien Omen 2.
Okay.
Which was definitely on the short list, but in the end, it's too much of a kind of...
It was on the list. It was on top part of my 9.
Yes, it's part of my short list. In the end, it's just too flat and conventional compared to the others.
Yeah, and I still can't remember if I put that one above.
So solid though, such a solid
Yeah.
sequel.
I couldn't remember if I put it above Omen 3, The Final Conflict, but in looking back, Omen 3, The Final Conflict is such an interesting movie to me.
But far more flawed. It's like Damien Omen 2 is... It's less interesting in the sense that... I think it's less interesting
Especially
thematically.
yeah. But that's what stuck with me about Omen 3.
So it has so many great performances in that movie.
Yeah.
That's probably why I put it on the shortlist in the first place. But in the end, I think it's too run-of-the-mill.
All right.
Compared to the others on the list.
I'll ask you again. Number 4.
Not getting any closer to an answer. All right. Snap Decision, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives.
Well, we're similar. You know my affinity for that movie. So I am Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Well, this is the problem. This is what I knew was going to happen. This is why I was pushing for a cap. You don't want these everyone meeting in the first round. This is like World Cup planning.
I don't think it matters
strategy.
that we're in the same series. I think it matters.
Okay.
I take great comfort in the fact that you're wrong.
About Jason Lives?
Yeah, it's in the wrong spot.
It's in the wrong spot of my top 5, and that makes you upset.
Yeah.
No, it's a.
But you should be upset at me.
I'm tired of having to defend this. These accolades I give these movies solely because they happen to come from a series which has a very high standard of sequel.
But you can be equally upset at me for putting the final chapter in the wrong spot. Because, man, what a great movie.
No, I get it. It's difficult. It's a difficult...
But I'm surprised after our conversation and after your kind of hand-wringing about Jason Lives and our talk about it,
that I haven't succumbed.
Yeah, you've yet to succumb to the realization of, letting that movie climb higher on any list. You had an end of the year chance to right your wrong, and you failed.
Yeah. Well, that applies to so many things in my life. That interestingly, that you didn't make it specific to what we're talking about now, because that's really a catch-all statement you just made there. But no, I hasn't changed. My mind hasn't changed about where it stands in relation to other Friday the 13th movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the same about everything else, and it's not quite the lightning in a bottle that the other two potential that might be on my list are. But in what order? Because that's really the only mystery left at this point.
Well, I think I'm going to surprise you with my number 3.
Go on. What is your number 4?
I told you.
I've forgotten.
Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Oh, that's right. Yes, what we were talking about.
Teach that active listening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
At a first glance, I wasn't sure that this movie would even make my list at all. But then I realized, yes, this...
It sucks that I already know this isn't the Phantom Menace, because I would have got really excited for about 10 seconds.
This movie has flaws, but it's a very good movie made by a director who I think's a great director.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more so than you. And I think it's a more polished movie than most.
This is like Guess Who. I'm narrowing
most
it
of
down.
the movies
I've got rid of the guys with glasses.
We have done on the list or this year, and so my number 3 is the last Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, I knew. Well, I knew from that preamble that's what you were gonna say. Yeah. Well, far be it from me to disagree with you. But I that was never seriously in contention for me, that sequel.
Okay.
I think there's just There's too much. There's too much wrong with it besides the father son dynamic for it to really be in contention.
Like I said, it's got problems. That part of it
But all
is the
those
best
but
part of
yeah.
it, but it also has Steven Spielberg. And he's doing some pretty good work in that movie.
In one specific area. I think he's a little bit exposed in too much of that movie as being a little bit misguided in what he thinks is funny, but the rest of the world doesn't understand to be comedy.
Fine, okay.
Yeah.
But I appreciate a sure hand. And when I watch that movie, I see a pretty sure hand.
Dramatically, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not comedically.
Not comedically, but dramatically and practically.
Sure, yeah, that's always a
That's a Steven Spielberg bonus.
promise. The Steven Spielberg
Yeah.
promise.
All right then, smart guy. I mean, you tell me what's better.
Smart. I'll tell you what's better. Well, speaking of great directors and sure hands,
Number 2?
Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah.
And that's Steve Miner. I mean that. I mean, maybe I'm making too much of it because of the revelation that Steve Miner's first movie is such an assured debut
Mm-hmm.
in a way that you don't normally see. But incredible movie.
So here's my thing.
The quintessential Part 2.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed that
History hasn't written it that way.
Well, that's what counts against you. Because even as
What
I'm,
what does that?
I mean, listen.
Now I've got history against me. I thought it was just you.
No, you got me and history against you because
Oh.
when we did that series, you had that at the top of your list, didn't you?
No.
Or you had
no.
4 and then 2.
Yeah, 4 and then 2.
Okay,
And then 6. Kind of indistinguishable from each other.
right. But we talked about that. Like, I remember watching Part 2 and thinking, well, surely no movie's going to be better than this.
Yeah. As did I.
But I found and I discovered that as I went on and
Yeah.
watched
It's
4
potentially
and
too
watched 6, especially because 6 was brand new to me,
Yeah.
I was shocked that I could find 2 movies that I thought were better than 2.
Mhm.
And then when you stack that series up against other series,
Yeah.
I'm sad to say, but Part 2 waned for me and did not make my list.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did not make your list at all?
No, not at all.
Where did you put it in your original ranking?
3rd. Because I went 6, 4, 2.
Okay. Well, it's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
People can be consistently wrong.
Yes, you are.
Well, but it feels
But
it
I
feels
feel like
the-
I have that sense of what you were just saying. You were saying that history is not counting this movie where it should be. And
Right.
I have that movie placed in my mind where popular culture seems to have placed it.
No, you have it placed it in much greater esteem than popular culture has it. You remember the ratings on those?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
The percentages? Oh my god. No,
I mean, they're wrong, obviously, but
Yeah, but I think it's Damien Omen 2 goes off my list because it's very, very good, but it's it's no great shakes. I think Part 2 is also solid and workmanlike, but also dazzling and amazing at the same time, and that's why it's so high up on my list.
yeah, it's funny because when I first started thinking about it, it kind of got eliminated right away.
Mm.
And then the movie the two movies that I already have talked about that were on the outside of my list were The Rescuers Down Under, and Omen 3, for some reason, has jumped to the front of my brain in a way where that movie really stuck with me. Imagery from that movie,
I remember
performance from
all
that
the way
movie.
back. Yeah, I remember all the way back when we were talking about it. You were really taken by it.
Yeah.
And I think the strangeness of it rubbed off in a different way on you than it did on me, I think.
Okay. I'm starting to gather that our number one's going to be the same.
Maybe not.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't. Which is too bad, because I like arguing. Telling you you're wrong.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. But all
It reminds me of one of my favorite, going back to the quotable, my favorite rap songs by a group called Ugly Duckling, called Eye on the Gold Chain, and it's just a series of like rap brags immediately countered with "No, you don't." So it's like, I got my own sitcom. No, you don't. I act in the movies. No, you don't.
Take that, Jerry Seinfeld.
I love how I feel like I have to compete with Jerry Seinfeld's knowledge of rap just to feel good about myself.
Yes.
By throwing in that deep cut.
All right, I think I have your top two pegged.
Okay.
I imagine you probably have my top two pegged.
Yeah.
If you're a decent person at all, you know my
Now,
top two.
who sunk whose battleships is the question.
I could do yours in order, I'm sure.
Okay, go for it.
I think your number two is Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Okay. And what do you think my top one is?
My top one. I think it's Temple of Doom.
All right. I think your top is also Temple of Doom.
Mm-hmm. And number two?
I
Temple of Doom. I'm trying to think what's left.
Think of my list, not your list.
Mm-hmm. Omen 3's been getting a lot of play. But I don't think it's that.
It can't possibly. I already said several times it's off my list.
Yeah. Okay, your top one is Temple of Doom. Oh, of course, yes.
Oh, actually, no, I'm not. No, I'm not so sure.
Come on, Tom.
No. So I think I think what happened was Indiana Jones is top, and then Jason Lives is second. But I think you're just crazy enough to put Part 6 at the very top of your list. But I'm still. But But I also know you talk yourself out of crazy sometimes in your rankings.
Sometimes.
So I'm gonna double bluff you and say Indiana Jones: The Temple of Doom is your number one, and Jason Lives is your number two.
We're married for a reason.
We're podcast married for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Am I right about you?
No.
Get the fuck out of here.
No.
You're
Flip them.
going Temple of Doom and then Part 4.
Yeah.
Wow. You're so wrong.
Well,
But I'm thrilled.
If Last Crusade has its problems, Temple of Doom has its problems. It's a much better movie and a much better sequel, but problems aplenty throughout that movie, and we're both willing to look past a lot.
Oh, I'll say. I'm in the
I tell you
bag
what,
for Temple of Doom.
I am in the clearly I'm in the bag too, but I got checked by none other than Time Out's film critic Jeff King for saying how much I liked Temple of Doom. He was like, it's one of the worst sequels I've ever seen.
Directly to you, he said that?
Well, I'm on Facebook. Something went wrong, and I'm Facebook friends with him.
Something went wrong, and I'm Facebook friends with him.
No, it's like,
Not for long, mister.
Like the great Craig Ferguson bit about you that starts with something had gone terribly wrong, and I was attending a Hollywood party. That's the way I feel about that. I'm somehow Facebook friends with Time Out's film critic, Time Out London's film critic Jeff King. And I said, "Tell me more," and he replied he just thought it was bloated in every respect. And I said, I can't disagree with that.
But you're watching the movie wrong.
But I replied, you'll be proud of me. In my reply, I said, I think excess is key to the pleasure of the film.
Nice.
And that was the end of the conversation. Probably not my Facebook friend anymore. He's got bigger fish to fry, frankly. But yeah, I think it's interesting because Jason Lives and Temple of Doom are movies that I think of in abstract as synthetic movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that. I'm not in a disparaging way.
No, I think I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
They're metatextual movies. They're obsessed with surface and they're self-reflexive and like I said, Friday the 13th: The Final Chapter is just one of those movies that captures a moment in cinema. And I don't even mean a historical moment in cinema. I mean those people making that movie.
Yeah.
And not
Crispin Glover dancing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all these, Corey Feldman going apeshit and 101 Fever. It's like these I just feel like seldom do we see films as this kind of record of people working together in a way that this movie is, and I think that's what always puts it on top for me, even against the other movies in the series, and I guess because of my list, against all the other movies we've done this year.
Yeah. All right.
So that's my rationale.
I don't particularly like or relish the idea that you're not as in the bag for Temple of Doom as I am. Perhaps it's good for the podcast, but I don't approve of it, sir. You should be in the bag as much as I am. And it's interesting what you're saying about the sort of synergy, the synthetic kind of quality between Doom and Part 6.
Yeah,
because all
they're kind of they're exercises in movie making.
Yeah.
Whereas Friday the 13th: The Final Chapter was it's like almost a documentary of itself.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
But what I think is interesting is,
like,
I think the reason I find Temple of Doom more interesting is that quality that you're talking about in both movies feels more overt for the audience in Part 6. And like, to me, it's like Spielberg's waving his hand in a little bit of magic, trying to just like show you the story, but all those elements are still there.
Yeah, and it's calling them synthetic is doing a disservice to both movies, because they're held together by directors who, know how to have two ideas in their head at any given time. At
one time, yeah,
right?
Sure.
Yeah, they can tell an authentic story whilst making a spectacular movie at the same time. Both of those do that brilliant. Both of those movies do that brilliantly. So, but if I'm forced to rank,
and you are,
I'm gonna say as an experience, Friday the 13th: The Final Chapter is the best sequel we've done all year.
It's the fourth best sequel.
Sorry, fourth best
we've done all year.
I forgot. Sorry, fourth best. Yes, that's right. Just change all my rankings now, just so we can get out of it.
All right. I mean,
no, it's
I like first. This. This is fun.
Dog. I know you do.
Yeah, I'm delighted.
That surprise Headline has probably compensated for the lack of Star Wars prequels in my list.
I really thought you were gonna come in here guns a blazing.
This is the thing. Like, I have to, I have to play devil's advocate with those kinds of movies to you, just so they get on the table, just so we have something on the table that isn't just, criticism. It's like, can't you? I want to present it to you. Can't you see the value? Same with Crystal Skull. Can't you see the value in this? Has this been misunderstood? Is this better? It is?
I called them all bad, but I think I was pretty generous with those Star Wars prequels. Considering
you absolutely were, yeah. No, I know, but what I'm saying is it's only because of how I presented it to you that you were that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying. Even I don't believe that.
The hard work I put in.
It's yeah, exactly. It's time and distance as well, right? Time and distance from the.
But what I will do is blame you.
Eye of the storm.
Because I catch shit from other people saying. I mean, we're talking about him all the time now, but friend of the show, Matthew Aldrich, went back and watched all those movies. Like, no, fucking terrible. What's the matter with you? Stop it.
I love how.
Don't you dare say one kind word about those movies.
Matt Aldrich is like, he's like our beat poet. Like, he's like, no, the first idea you had was just write it down. Just write down the first idea. Don't second guess yourselves. Don't talk yourselves out of what you know to be true.
All right. What a good time.
Yeah, so do we need to go over that, or should we?
What do you mean, like just tell everyone again our top 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you probably were going to do that.
I mean, I
don't want to anchor mansplain to
I
you,
have
but...
no problem saying that at the my top 5 are from 5 down, 3 Men and a Little Lady, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
All right, and then from bottom to top, mine.
That doesn't matter. We'll go.
Just kidding. We're out of time, everyone. Even though this is a podcast and we can take as much time as we can, somehow we're out of time.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So number 5, The Rescuers Down Under. Number 4, it's Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Number 3, Friday the 13th, Part 2. Number 2, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And number 1, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter.
Just out of curiosity, if you couldn't do more than one movie from one series, then what happens?
You're gonna pull this shit on me now after my repeated pleas to you to do this from the start? Go on. If I could only pick one from each series, of course it would be The Final Chapter. And Damien Omen 2 would be in there, and Attack of the Clones would be in there. If I could only take one from each series. And Attack of the Clones and Damien Omen 2 would probably be trumped by Last Crusade, but I couldn't take Last Crusade because I already took Temple of Doom.
Yeah. I probably have to go Rescuers, Omen 3. No, wait. Shit. I guess at 5 I'd have RoboCop 2.
There you go.
That's hilarious.
It's already a better list.
And then 3 Men and a Little Lady, Omen 3. And then I'll stick with Jason Lives at 2 and Temple of Doom at 1.
Yeah. But it's okay. We're trying to...
Of course it's okay. I'm right.
But it's that thing where it's when you get into... When you think about the World Cup...
I do not.
The person who wins... Well, yeah, no, you're an American. Of course you don't think about the World Cup. But as a British person, it's all I think about. Even though it only happens every 4 years. Yeah. But just in the way that the contest is organized, you're not going to get the best team in the world winning the cup.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't test who is the best team in the world. It tests who can win, who can beat which team when.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's like all sports, though.
It like all sports, but
By the
we
way,
always highlight it.
Let's point out in this episode right now, Michigan Wolverines, #1, baby, champions. Go Blue.
They did another Wolverine movie.
God damn it.
Wow, James Mangold, he just can't get enough, can he?
Red Dawn.
I think that was the find of this year, that we reminded everyone that James Mangold directed the Wolverine as well as Logan.
Yeah.
I think that was the best thing that happened all year.
We did some important work.
Because everyone had forgotten that, including us. But anyway, just because of the way so doing it your way is more honest.
Yeah.
Because I actually think we put the film up there that we want to, rather than
that's why I thought we should do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it allows us to speak our truth.
In the parlance of our time.
In the parlance of our times, it's fire. But we but you know, sort of you can also have fun pitting two strong movies against each other and seeing who wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe we'll have a champion of champions at some point as well, and then it'll get more like that World Cup model where you're kind of like,
I like
it's
that
a shame
idea.
It's a shame these two met so early in the competition. Because I remember when Indiana Jones Minute did this with like the best scenes in the franchise, they ended up like accepting scenes they knew were not the best in the franchise just because of the way that they structured the competition.
Yeah. They wanted some easy early round knockouts.
Well, it's just like, well, of course I'm gonna say this scene if it's up against the end of Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
The elephant. I mean, come on.
That's interesting.
Best friend.
Talking scenes. Do you take the opening scene of Temple of Doom over the ending, or vice versa?
Of the ending of Temple of Doom?
Yeah. Do you take the front scene with Lao Che, or do you take the bridge?
Oh, the bridge. I thought you were talking about. The
village.
Very funny.
No, I wasn't talking about that.
Opening scene all the way. Ride or Die. And it's one of the best openings of any movie.
But the bridge, Dom, the bridge.
The bridge is a set piece. I think it's,
You're probably right.
The opening of a movie is a very special thing.
True.
And to get it that right is a very special accomplishment. And to get it that right when technically doing everything so wrong is what makes it perfect.
All right, well, we can fight about it on another day.
Yeah.
That's it. Now we got a couple more years. Maybe we'll do this again because we came up with this idea late.
We did, yeah. Well, it's after the year in which we're talking about. So yeah, everything is we're playing catch up, listeners.
Yeah, you might get one of these episodes again sometime in the foreseeable future.
Some other time when we're having to play catch up. Yeah. And then we got we can do a champion of champions at some point.
I like that idea a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Goblet of Goblets is the Cup Winners' Cup translates to in Spain, I believe.
Sure. It's no Goblet of Fire.
No, it's not. Have I? Oh, well, this is. I was gonna say this isn't the place to have this discussion, but it absolutely is. my son started getting into Harry Potter.
Yes.
So
Take that.
We recently went to Universal Studios and he bought a
Wand?
No, a gown, a
Oh.
robe.
Oh my.
They call them robes, don't they? They don't call them gowns.
Did you get him a butterbeer?
No, he was just insistent. He wanted. I think he wants it for a Halloween costume. And the Slytherin was the only one that fit him.
Future Dark Wizard.
Interestingly, though, his enthusiasm waned trying to watch the entirety of the first movie.
Does that mean you've watched the entirety of the first movie now?
I've listened to him watch it in the back of a car,
Okay.
which is sort of for me the perfect viewing situation for that movie. But I just love the
Terrible.
fact that, you know, he lost interest like about half an hour in, and I was like, that's how I know he's my son. He was just overwhelmed by the mythology. I was like, I hear you. This is what I've been saying all along about this series. Hits you with too much mythology too quickly.
Get out. All right, fine. I'll get him back on track.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a growing obsession, so...
Excellent.
And we will sit down and watch that first movie together, I'm sure, at some point.
All right, friend. I look forward to the tales.
Oh, and FYI, Too Fat for the Flight of the Hippogriff. Watch out, big men. They test you. They have a test chair when you go in, and then it if you're on the larger side, shall we say? And I'm talking about men who are much more slender than I am, who got rejected as well. But I was well over the seat. The thing wouldn't close because you have to go 360.
Oh,
They wouldn't let me go on the ride
I'm
at
sorry.
Universal Studios. It was so yeah. I had to, basically, they were really. First of all, they were really nice about it. The people so good job, staff at Universal Studios. You handled it very appropriately. Also, shame on you, Universal Studios, for putting your staff in that position. But they said to me, they gave me a choice. They were like, it's like you can just kind of leave, just go outside and wait for the rest of your party, or we have a waiting room where you can wait for the rest of your party. And in my head, I was going, not going to the fat room. I do not want to sit with other people who've been rejected on the basis of size. Can you imagine the lack of self-esteem in that room? Just it would, like, hit you like a skunk when you go in. Like, oh!
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, because then you just eyeing people up. You're like, oh come on! What about this guy?
There might be
Anyway.
like a basket of soda and sandwiches in there or something.
It's just they set out a trough for you just to eat your feelings. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, shit.
The hippo trough.
Well,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen,
Sorry about that.
you're going to have to tell us what your top 5 are. I hope you've watched I hope we've inspired you to watch all of these movies.
Yeah.
And you tell us what your top 5 are. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm sure Elon Musk will be in jail soon. Send an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Shantz here. I'm from the How Dare You Awards. Say goodbye, Tom.
I'm a dead fuck.
You purposely put your movie quote from your top movie in there.
All right.
I cry foul.
Hold on to your potatoes.
That's what I like.
That's from your movie.
There we go.
I picked the best one for your movie.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Antidote.
We'll be back.
I like to think I know something about beer, but nowadays even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need, the Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They'll try new beers, they'll tell you about beer. Think of them as your beer Sherpas guiding you up a foamy-headed mountain to reach the peak of your pint. God, I need a beer.